Hi there, this is Aaron. Today is Sunday the 7th of August and it's day 11 of 2016 on the allotment. Well, the last video that you saw, you could really start to see the wood chip method that I'm using really sort of paying dividends. The onions were coming along very well, everything else was growing. The only thing that I had a problem with, which is a problem that I've had both years when I've been on this plot, is my beans, and that looked to be a pest problem. So that's something to learn for next year. Now, in the week that followed that video, I was absolutely bowled over by how quickly everything was coming along. And I even spoke about it on the Facebook page, where I said, look, my sweet corn is really catching up. And I took a photograph. So you can see there the corn's growing really well. There were cobs forming, there were tassels forming, and I could even see the tassels starting to go brown, which would have meant that the sweet corn's ready. And I remember thinking when I was here, which was yesterday, the Saturday, that I'll have that because I reckon that's going to be ready to pick tomorrow. Well, it was probably ready during the night, because when I got here, well, let's take a look. And something's beaten me to it. And there's only one animal that's really big enough to do that, of which we have plenty around here, which is deer. So the deer came over and they've pushed the sweet corn down, they've pulled the ears off, and they've absolutely nibbled it so that there's nothing else left except just the eaten cob. And they've left it all here for me to clear up. I'm being quite jovial about it, but I mean, it's a real shame because I was really looking forward to sweet corn this year. There isn't one that's left. They've had the absolute lot, and the only thing that's left for me to do is really just pull the plants up and just chuck them away. So deer is obviously a problem here, particularly with sweet corn, and I've looked around and just about everybody on this plot has lost their sweet corn now, and the only people that haven't are some quite well seasoned gardeners. And I looked around and asked them, and what they say is that, yeah, the deer will have it no matter what. There's another rumour that it could be badgers, but I mean, I know a badger is a strong creature, but I mean, even this, you need to be heavier than a badger, I think, to be able to knock this sweet corn over. And the only ones that have been able to survive and keep their sweet corn have got a little fence around it. And attached to the fence are two little wires, and attached to the wires is a car battery. So what they've actually done is to create an electric fence. Now, I'm not sure that I want to follow suit with an electric fence, but I've got to do something to be able to protect this for next year. And so that's something for me to think about. But in the meantime, I've just got to clear it away. Oh, it's absolutely heartbreaking when you have to clear good plants away that were, that was so close. I probably could even have picked it last night and taken it home and we would have had some. But I thought, no, I'll just give it that extra day and then it's gone. Nature knows when something is ripe, and nature doesn't give second chances. So lots for me to think about there. As I said, everything was starting to come along. And what has happened when I've come here today, and I knew that it was very, very close, is that my onion sets, my Stuttgarter Giants, have fallen over. So that means they're ready. So let's take a look. As you know now, I grew the Stuttgarter Giants in wood chips. Now, they were not actually planted in wood chips, they were planted in the earth, and then they were mulched up really well with wood chips. And what seems to have happened in an unbelievably quick time is that the ground has just become so well conditioned. There are earthworms in here by the absolute fistful, red wigglers creating wonderful soil. And I mean, one of the big things that people say about the Back to Eden gardening method is, well, what happens when the wood depletes nitrogen from the soil? Well, what's actually happening is that there are so many earthworms moving in, and they're creating worm castings that are very nitrogen rich, that any nitrogen that the wood chips that are only in contact with the very top of the soil would leach out, is immediately replenished, and by the looks of things is replenished several times over by the earthworms. And I mean, you can see, I mean, it's as if I've planted these onions in worm castings here. You can see how easily they're coming out. That there is absolutely no camera trickery here at all. I've not set anything up, I've not dug it beforehand, and of course what that means is that just by pulling the plants, I'm not digging the wood chips into the soil. They're just coming out, there's nothing been disturbed there, everything, the layers are preserved, and so it's just ready for me to pull back the wood chips when I'm ready to plant in here next year. So this is an amazing win, and you might remember last year that I had a bit of a disaster with my onions, and the only thing I got remotely close with were my Stuttgarter Giant onions, which kind of saved me. Well, these onions, they're bigger, they're better, they're healthier. I can see already that this is the best onion haul I've ever had from sets. These are the best Stuttgarter Giants I've ever grown. And I also started these late. So I think that next year, now that I've got a bit more infrastructure in place with the lights, and next year I will have the greenhouse ready, that I could probably get even better next year. And that's really the important thing, that you carry on learning, and as you learn you do better each year. So I'm really happy about that. So that was the onions up. Next, it was really the turn of the garlic. Now, I've never had good garlic. But again, you can see that it's just pulling out really, really easily. And there's very deep roots on this garlic. Again, I started it late, so I wasn't expecting anything amazing. But what I'm pulling out are perfectly respectable cloves. You would be very happy to buy these at the supermarket. They've got a touch of rust, which is how come I know they're ready. But they're absolutely perfect. And I have tried it, and it is drying, and it's absolutely brilliant. I cannot speak highly enough. Certainly for alliums, what's happening is that the wood chips absorb rain when it's really falling, so that you don't get waterlogged soil. And then when it's dry, it gives the moisture back, so that they don't dry out. It protects the soil, it conditions the soil. Everything about this is perfect for alliums, and I am definitely going to use this method next year for alliums. And you can see all of these, they're coming out, they're a wonderful size. I can't wait to really start to cook with them. So that's another thing that's really pleased me. And if you look at the garlic that's been set out now, and this really has got a beautiful colour on it. I mean, these are white skins. There is a bit of dirt on it, but not a lot of dirt on it. It's amazing. I am so pleased, and this looks like really good garlic. So I'm gushing too much, aren't I? I'm so sorry about that. But I am going to show you the onions as well. And here they are, next to the garlic. I mean, you can see the size. I'm actually hoping that I might have a set of 6 here to be able to display in our village show in a couple of weeks for the onions from sets category. There's a category there for flat onions from sets, and I think I might have a set of 6 there. So that's something to look forward to, and I'll share that with you if it happens. Well, we've had onions from sets and we've had garlic, but of course the onions that I've really been trying to grow this year, I had an absolute disaster with last year, is the Kelsey Onions. Now, it's a strain of seed because there's been a shortage of Kelsey seeds this year. I was able to pick up a strain of seed from Medwyns of Anglesey. Medwyns, of course, is an absolutely legendary grower, seed, plant seller, has achieved so much. Medals galore, gold medals, very, very celebrated. And so I was very, very lucky to get hold of this seed. And when you look at these Kelsey onions, I mean, there's a beautiful colour to them. And again, they're just pulling straight out of the ground. I'm not entirely sure I need a shovel anymore or a spade once I've got everything else covered in wood chips, because they're beautiful coming out. What is interesting is that the ones that have really grown to a decent size, they're the ones that are closer to the middle. And so yeah, there's obviously been more work put into that part of the plot and the soil there. But I'm hoping that with the wood chips, that the whole width of the plot is going to, start to get to the same level. Now, of course, that is a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because I did suspect that the soil on the edges was in need of more work than the soil in the middle, and so I put my best ones in the middle. But all the same, they've done extremely well. They're not up to Dan's standards, and I know that Dan is really hoping for a 10-pounder this year, and all the signs are that he might get a 10-pounder, and I certainly have my fingers crossed for Dan and his 10-pounder this year. But for me, I'm just happy to get reasonable sized onions. I've got one there that could very well challenge for the biggest onions. We're not big competition growers in our village. It's just a bit of fun, but the fact that I can grow onions from seed and that they grow to a size that I'll be happy with to buy in the supermarket, that's brilliant as far as I'm concerned. So there we have it, harvesting my onions for this year. They are the best onions I've ever grown. I know I keep saying it, but I'm still saying it to convince myself that it's real. The question is now, what do I do with them? And that's going to be addressed in either the next video or the video after that, when there's actually going to be a special guest here. We're both going to be going through our onions. This person is another YouTuber, and he is a specialist onion grower, and I'm telling you now that he's got better onions than I have. So all my gushing now is going to be replaced by absolute shame when you see what a real grower can do. But it should be fun, so please do watch out for the next one. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time with a guest on the allotment. Goodbye.